Wobbly kick from Pasteur. Gavin Holmes steps out of a tackle across the 50. Gavin Holmes, the 6th-year senior, into the end zone. 73 yards.
Welcome to the Big 1-2 on 365 Sports.
Worthy standing on. He's on 35. Blocked, swallowed, engulfed, picked up, and it's Robinson. Keelan Robinson, Texas on the board.
Now here's Paul Catalina.
And Roy Nogeltree and Jacob Wilson. Here on the Big 1-2, brought to you by our good friends at Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. If you're coming to Waco from out of town, go to Shorty's. If you live in Waco, you should have already been. But if you haven't, that's not like a sin that you cannot overcome.
You can atone for it.
You can atone for it. Just go. And then you'll be like, oh, how did I miss this place?
Homecoming's coming up in a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, get there early if you're going to go on homecoming.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So Shorty's Pizza Shack. Always a good time at Shorty's. And look, go early, go often.
Exactly. All right, so, Roy, this is a crazy week in the Big 12, again, which it's going to be.
Oh, who would have thought?
I thought for a second the guy who was ragging on me in our post-game show the other night about me saying Oklahoma State was going to take a loss. It was only going to take a week for that to be like, see, man, I'm telling you. Like,
We nearly got there. Ooh.
I nearly got there. That was a great game. TCU and Kansas was a classic. I thought that was a really fun game.
Best game of the weekend, for sure.
Yeah, best game of the weekend. On our picks, I picked Iowa State because you picked Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Iowa State because I thought they were a bad matchup for Kansas State.
It was a bad matchup.
Exactly right. Except Iowa State, the whole state of Iowa's offense is abysmal. It should not be allowed.
I don't know. Because they looked like they had something working in the passing game between at least the two-man game between Deckers and Xavier Hutchinson. So it's Xavier Worthy, but Xavier Hutchinson. So it looked like they had enough going there that they would be able to hang with teams, unlike their rival Iowa, who just running a 1920s offense. But it just has not been the same since. I don't know, even that Baylor game, maybe Baylor did something to expose some sort of weakness that they have there, but they just don't look good at all. And credit to Kansas State, their defense is very, very good.
Yeah. By the way, you say 1920s offense. It would not surprise me if Kirk Ferentz walked into the crowd and was like, listen, guys, we're not scoring points. Are you guys out doing the Charleston all night? By the ghost of Herbert Hoover, what's going on here?
Were y'all out at a sock hop?
I think that's the 50s.
That is the 50s.
That is the 50s.
That'd be too modern for that Iowa offense.
Listen, I read this book, The Great Gatsby, and you guys are living that Gatsby lifestyle and not earning it. But yeah, this is bad there. And that's not even the Big 12. But I just needed to get that joke in. And Oklahoma has fallen completely apart. Texas is better, and Texas is good. And they got this spot behind us on the board here because they earned it.
I feel like there's a but coming to this.
But I don't think anybody is fooling themselves that this is not the worst Oklahoma team in 20 years.
No, and worst Oklahoma team, I think, what's the year? 1996, I think people are saying is sort of the last time that they've had something around. I'm blanking on who the coach was at that time. Oklahoma fans get in my mentions and tell me, but
John Blake.
John Blake. He's persona non grata on Oklahoma Twitter.
Schnellenberger and then John Blake, and then whose son actually played it at Baylor for a little bit.
Was Stoops immediately after?
Stoops was 1998-99 was when he took over, and so
this has been the worst team that they've had since I was in diapers. So that's not great. But
since I was in high school.
Yeah.
Also in diapers.
Oh, still in diapers for different reasons. I think that, and we'll talk about these games, I'm sure, but I think that the immediate problem with Oklahoma, look, Dylan Gabriel was out, and he was the straw that stirs the drink on that offense. Granted, what you may think of him, he hadn't turned the ball over. He'd made some big plays down the field early in the season for that Oklahoma team. They just would get behind the sticks in that game, and then nothing would happen. They couldn't figure out. They were better running the Wildcat in that game than I think they were throwing the ball on down and distance.
Yeah.
For sure. And granted, and give it in all credit to Texas and Quinn Ewers, who came in after coming off of an injury. He made the throws that he had to make. Now, will he be able to do that whenever wide receivers aren't like they're wide open? There aren't like 15. There isn't anyone within 15 yards of wide receivers.
I actually think so. I think Quinn Ewers is quite good.
I think he's very good. Like, don't get me wrong. Do not get this twisted. I do think he is very, very good and has the potential to be possibly elite. I just think he also, when I was rewatching the game, he also made some plays that freshmen make. So I don't think that I don't think that the game for Oklahoma. Let's breathe if we're Texas fans, is what I'm saying.
But again, let's go back. Let's let them get there. Let them get there.
Yeah.
Like Texas fans, they need you to let them get there. Just let them get there.
Well, they're already there. They're saying he's him. He's the best that has ever been.
So, okay, Texas fans, like, think of it like a baby who's learned to walk. I mean, they're walking, but they're not walking perfectly. Like, they're going to fall down. They're going to scrape their knee. They're going to look like a baby walking for a little bit. Let them learn it. Like, if you were a parent, you would be like, golly, can you not fall already? You're 19 months old. You know, like, that's probably walk. I don't know when babies walk. I don't have one. But yeah.
Great parenting advice from Paul Catalina.
Like, listen, you better learn to walk because by the time you're 3, you're getting a job.
Be in those coal mines.
Yeah. No, that's not how it works. Just let them get there. They have plenty of time to get there. Just let them get there. And I firmly believe that Texas may take another loss. Like, when they play TCU, who knows what's going to happen there? Right. You know, when they play Baylor, there's good teams ahead on their schedule. They haven't played Oklahoma State yet. Like, there's good teams. What
we've seen in the Big 12 this year is that parity that we've always talked about, and it's in this conference more so than any other conference. I think every team was ranked. Like, I saw something that every team is basically ranked within the top 50 of college football teams. Just like if you S&P, or if you were doing a power ranking, every team was ranked within the top 50 of that. So, yeah, and I think that Texas will now be in, now kind of control their own destiny a little bit. But Oklahoma is bad in a bad way.
They're in a bad way.
In a bad way. So let's maybe temper expectations just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's always great to skunk your rival, no matter what sport it is and how down bad they might be. But let's temper expectations a little bit.
Also didn't have their starting quarterback, who's the best thing they have going.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And but even still, he's coming back into a situation with a defense that can't stop anybody, an offense that looks kind of lost right now, even though early in the season they looked like they had kind of picked it up. It's going to be a transition. Nothing has worked out for Oklahoma the way it has for USC, which took literally all their juice right now. But just give it time. And all these things. There's a lot of people in the offseason who said, like, look, this is a lot of transition. They haven't had this since Bob Stoops. There's going to be a learning curve. And
Oklahoma fans didn't want to hear that.
No, but everybody believes things about their team that are inherently not true.
That's fair.
Like you've got one thing. Look, I'll tell you, with Baylor fans, it's that the wide receivers that are going to step in, they're going to be automatically stars. No, let them get there.
Yeah.
It's not like a desperate situation where they need 5 guys from the transfer portal, but it's you see why they weren't playing last year. Like, there's some learning and growth that they have to do. With Nebraska fans, it's like until recently, it took a large chunk of them to realize, like, the 90s were a long time ago. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, it happened as a Cowboys fan. It probably happened with that fan base about 7 years ago, where it finally just, like, the air started to come out of the balloon where, it really has been that long.
Yeah, we're going all the way this year. Last time you went all the way.
Yeah. And it started to turn into like, please just do it again. Like,
Ever.
Just do it again. And I mean, there's still some swagger with the Cowboys, but I don't hear that like, oh, this is a Super Bowl team. Like, I don't hear that like I used to.
No.
And so that's what happens, you know.
I mean, Paul, when Bryce Young got hurt, we were saying when something like that happens to your team, you're supposed to skip a beat. I think with Oklahoma, we're really seeing that whenever they lose a lot of pieces, they're really, really skipping a beat.
Yeah, they lost. And they have 42 new players.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just make that work. And USC has gone well so far, but I guarantee you they're going to have a little hiccup because of that specific thing.
Yeah, and they've had times where they haven't played their best football, or Caleb Williams hasn't played their best they're still undefeated, but like I just think.
But they also haven't played their Texas yet.
Right.
You know, so who's the team on their schedule that's good enough to pop them? And they've got good to they haven't played Oregon yet. They're not going to play Oregon until maybe a potential championship game. They haven't played UCLA yet. UCLA, you know, has got good. So there's things like
Utah State this weekend?
Utah was
Utah this weekend.
Utah, UCLA beat them this week. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. All right, let's run down some of the other games. Texas Tech and Oklahoma State was a really good game in Stillwater.
Right.
Baron Morton threw for 379 yards in his debut. Their quarterback is not really the issue at Texas Tech, even though Donovan Smith
Well, it was
had
with
his issue.
Donovan Smith had a turnover problem, and
Yeah.
that kind of got them out of a couple of games.
But they still navigated with it.
Right.
Texas Tech is a gelling and experience, a health issue, but they don't go away. They hang around and they hang around and they hang around until you have to put them away. Texas learned it the hard way.
Right.
Houston learned it the hard way. They don't go away. And so while Tech, took into the loss this week, they're a hard out.
Yeah, and we kind of saw from Oklahoma State, granted they did what they were supposed to do and got the win. Obviously Spencer Sanders played well. They have shown so far between Baylor and this that they'll let people kind of hang around and rack up those yards on them.
They don't have the stop it defense that they had last year, where they could just go out in the field and go, stop it.
Okay, we're dead, 3 and out. Yeah, we just
it.
needed this. All right.
Yeah, we need this. We need to stop right here. You're not moving the ball at all.
Yeah.
Don't think about running it. Don't think about doing anything. You're not doing it.
Yeah.
And that's different, but their offense is better than it was last year.
Right.
In certain regards, and they lost some studs. I mean, Jalen Warren gone. Who's the wide receiver they had that's gone too? I'm blanking right now.
Des
Forgive
Bryant.
me. Yes, you're dead on.
Yeah, that guy.
That's a true thing. He was not there. He was not on last year's team either.
In fact, he was not there.
He was not there. He was not there for them when they needed him in the Big 12 championship game.
Des, you still have some eligibility, right?
He got suspended for for talking to Deion's agent there. So, but Oklahoma State and TCU play each other this week. That's going to be fantastic.
I think it'll be like a Kansas, like the game we saw at Kansas,
Yeah.
and like they're gonna go back and forth, and I think it'll probably come down to the wire.
Yeah.
There again, like we said, I don't think either one of those defenses has the nose to the grindstone. We're gonna just bully you off the field, sort of.
TCU has more stars on defense, and they have Travius Hodges Tomlinson among them from right here in Waco at Midway High School. And waited forever. Like, that's one of those things that, Gary Patterson's gone, but they've got to kind of regret, waiting that, even they got him, waiting that long. It kind of makes you feel stupid when he comes in.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden, it's like, where has this guy been?
Yeah.
Over there?
Yeah. His uncle is the greatest player potentially who's ever been here, or Doak Walker. So anyway, but TCU and Kansas, a classic. Jason Bean impressed me, coming in a relief, throwing 4 touchdown passes. He
played the game of his life. Yeah. That's why we'll see later in picks of why I don't necessarily know. Incredible. He probably would have been player of the week had
Max Duggan not been.
Yeah, Max Duggan not been a thing.
Yeah.
Or Quinn Ewers not been a thing, but that was an incredible display to watch.
Yeah.
And it felt like at times, I know we're going long, but it felt like at times that TCU was right on the brink of running away with it. And then Kansas would just make an incredible play. Do they have a bevy of 6'8" wide receivers? Like they just have a stable of 6'8" wide receivers who go up and make ridiculous plays.
Yeah. Quentin Johnson made that great catch for TCU at the end of the game. TCU, and I want to talk about TCU and Texas Tech in the next segment, maybe even a little Kansas, but just on the culture change. I did a top 5 on this today on the other show about how culture change, it's not about scheme. And like sometimes it's not just about the X's and O's and all that. Sometimes it's just about a different voice in the room. I think we've seen that at those places. But Kansas and TCU was best game of the weekend. Again, maybe nationally the best game of the weekend. Alabama and A&M was a good game, but it wasn't a good game because
Kind of gross. It's kind of gross.
It's like yeah. It was one of those things. So while it was a close game, and it was yeah. Let's throw a 30 Rock like Tracy Morgan and hard to watch. That was that game right there. Yeah. It was hard to watch. When we come back, culture change and why it's changing the Big 12. This is the Big 1-2, brought to you by Shorty's Pizza Shack on 365 Sports.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back into the Big 1-2.
Tight zoom.
Yeah. We're trying to get this. I like the quick swoop into it. But yeah, the robot cameras, they kind of have a mind of their own. You can't listen. I don't trust robots. I'm going to tell you right now. If we're in a Terminator situation anywhere down the line, just say,
You told us so. You were the one that warned us.
I'm not the one who warned you. Plenty of people will tell you that. But I'm on board of like if the robots do have an uprising, I'll be like, yeah, kind of felt this.
This has nothing to do with football, but have you seen the Boston Dynamics dogs thing?
Yeah.
Those are the scariest things on the planet.
Yeah. I don't, again, like when the Japanese have a robot that can cook an egg. I don't need a robot to cook an egg. It's not that hard. Stop making
I can, in fact, cook an egg.
Yeah.
That's what skillets are for.
Exactly. Don't. What happens when he gets bored with cooking eggs?
Cooks bacon.
I mean, he's going to learn things.
I mean, we've got robots that cook pretty much every kind of food. It's the ones that are going to read minds that concern me.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that you carry in your pocket and have in front of you right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So culture change, a lot of coaching changes in the Big 12 in the last couple of years. Now,
Speaking of robots, head coaches.
Baylor had a big coaching change that I would not say was necessarily a huge culture change from Matt Rule to Dave Aranda because they're both kind of focused on the player over the program kind of a thing.
In that sense, you had completely different personalities.
But they're not like as far as, accountability. Like they're similar in that. Like there wasn't much of a change in. It's not like they went from one coach who expected to be there at 7 a.m., to a coach. It's like, whatever you want, guys. You know, like
Come on in, the water's fine.
yeah, it wasn't that. But big culture changes in other places in the conference. Texas Tech went from Matt Wells, who was someone who is a really good football mind, I think, but was not, there was no excitement about him. He was
Very lukewarm.
yeah,
hire.
it's just how it was. It was like, and Joey McGuire is the double shot of espresso of human beings. I mean, he just absolutely has so much energy and fired up and is about not making excuses about things about like, here's the, look, okay, yes, it's in West Texas. Can you come and win here? Yes, if you want to come and
Do you want to come and play and win?
Yeah. Do you want to come play for me? I'm a cool coach. There's going to be cool things happening. It doesn't matter if it's in Lubbock. And it's hard. Like, he's still going to have to fight it because Lubbock's far away from everything. But a cult, like, they believe in themselves. I think that's the biggest difference between last year and this year. Lance Leipold has a team that goes out and is not shocked that they win. They're just like, all right, yeah, we were ready for the game. We won.
He's like, I've won at programs, lesser than what has happened at Kansas. Like, we do forget that Kansas does have a history of some success, albeit it far back in the minds of even me. I was in like 7th grade whenever they were running around going to Orange Bowls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they do have the history of some success in the sport. But he's coming in and saying, look, why can't we win here?
Yeah.
That doesn't compute to me. I want it Buffalo.
Well, it's not impossible to win anywhere.
True.
It's impossible to win if you refuse to be open about why you're not. And Kansas for a long time, I think, was just like, oh, well, Charlie Weiss will be fine. Oh, well, this guy will be fine. Like, are those the guys that you really want? Like, Charlie Weiss made millions of dollars on the fact that he coached Tom Brady for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about the company you keep. Ask any of Sean McVay's friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you shake Sean McVay's hand one time in the restroom?
I wouldn't be working here if I had ever done that.
Yeah.
Be the quarterback's coach for an NFL team, at least.
Yeah. So, yeah, culture changes have happened, and nowhere bigger to me than Texas and TCU. Now, Texas has to focus on, and the only thing they can do, this art can do, is focus on changing it in the actual locker room and dealing with expectations of a fan base that are astronomical every second of every day.
Right.
You kind of have to just quiet that noise because you can't there. He had the problem with Texas for a long time was if you committed to Texas, a lot of the recruits thought that like automatically you walked in and got like a magical amulet that made you a national champion already. And not realizing that the 05 team was the first team in 30 years to win one at Texas. And
it took Mac Brown a minute to build that up.
It took recruiting and a team that worked really hard to do that. Worked really hard.
And they were the underdog the year they won too.
Yeah. They worked, they had, and look, man, the recruiting was fantastic, especially along the lines. They were 8 deep on the defensive line and they were 9 deep on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And then they had Vince Young, who is one of the top 5 college football players of my lifetime. I mean, maybe of all time. He was an amazingly dominant college football player. And if you ask me, hey, you need to start a team and you get like the quarterback, and I might just say it's got to be Vince Young because that dude was so dominant and so much physically better than everyone else. Now, the NFL game is different. And
everybody is. Everybody is. All of a sudden, everyone is your height, weight, and speed.
But, like that was Vince Young. These guys are not that. Like, you might have the same number of stars by your name as Vince Young and Roy Miller and guys like that, but you're not them. You're not those guys.
Yeah.
And you're not Sergio Kindle. You're not those dudes. You're not them. You're not Quan Cosby. You're not Jordan Shipley. You haven't done that yet. You haven't earned those things. And Steve Sarkisian is convincing them that they have to do that. And when they do, holy cow. I mean, like,
when we can officially maximize your potential that we know that you have. That's why we recruited you. That's why you came to the University of Texas, because you're this big-time recruit, because we believe that we can maximize what it is that you do, and then that will be a springboard into bigger and better things in the NFL. In the past, that's why you would come here. But for a minute, it was that. It was the I've always been good. Why wouldn't I be good? One more level up.
Yeah.
And it was going to take a coach to say, look, we need to do things one type of or a certain way to make sure that this is that you'll be able to do all the things that you think that you can accomplish.
What have you done? Like, you have to keep saying, like, what have you done? Okay, you beat Oklahoma, good. What does that mean? Nothing yet. It just means you beat Oklahoma. So like every season is a big puzzle. And it felt like a lot of times Texas would get a big win and they'd be like, that's it. We're done with the puzzle. And then you walk away, you're like, I don't even know what this is yet. Is this an elephant? Is it a clown? I don't know. But they just walk away, and then like, we're done. And then they get stomped by teams.
comes in and
Kansas beats them. And that's how it is. But I think Steve Sarkisian's changing that a little bit. I really do.
I do want to know what the big sort of, because it looks like he has these players, at least on the offensive side of the ball, bought into this system and whatever Gary Patterson has also brought to that defensive side of the ball. I know he's not the coordinator, but
but Gary Patterson has the perfect job for himself at this point in his life, in my opinion, in that he doesn't really have to deal with the media. He doesn't have to he can't recruit. He's not allowed to recruit. He's not one of those guys. So he doesn't have to deal with that. He doesn't have to deal with people asking him about questions about this or that. He doesn't have to invent a bunch of conspiracy theories. You can be like, all right, we're playing Alabama. Here's the tape. Mm-hmm. Figure out how to stop them. And guess what?
He knows how.
He's darn good at that. And then you can allow the other coaches to do their thing. And consequently, by extension, TCU is a program that, the whole roster for the most part, aside from a couple transfers, are Gary Patterson's players. Mm-hmm. He built that roster, and he built it pretty well, but they were underachieving for a long time because he's just a lot. He's just a lot, man. And because of that, eventually, it's like people who yell at their kids. Like, everyone's going to yell at their kids. But, like, if you really want to make your kid, like, effective, you're like, oh, he yelled at me.
Paul Royden, I'm curious because you've hit on a good point. With the way that, the culture is changing in today's youth, do you think Gary Patterson can be a head coach and make a program as good as that TCU one that he had propped up?
I don't think so. I think you have to be I think the Dave Arandas of the world are the Jamie Chadwells, who's going to be hopefully a Power 5 head coach in this cycle. I think those guys are the ones. The Jimbo Fisher's having a hard time, right? Jimbo Fisher's wearing all these quarterbacks out. The one who lost one game with him was Jameis Winston. And because Jameis gave as good as he got. Mm-hmm. So Jimbo would yell at Jameis, Jameis would yell right back.
I don't want to be the guy that gets on here and says today's youth is soft. I'm not going to do that. I think that's a non-starter argument. But I do believe that more and more kids today are more in tune with what their belief system is and what they believe to be true, and not for nothing, more in tune with their feelings, which is better for you as a person. But
I do think that there are kids who are not used to yelling all the time is not effective. Yelling once in a while is super effective. Yelling when it counts. And I think with Gary Patterson, it was everything was a conspiracy theory. Everything was this.
Everything was Matt Foley.
And nothing was his fault, right? Nothing was Gary Patterson's fault. And so because of that, they needed someone to come in who's just coaching them, leading the program. Everything's fine. That's Sonny Dykes. It's fine.
And they talked about it a little when you hit the nail on the head a couple of shows ago. They talked about it a little bit on the broadcast about Max Duggan, how he was so intense and so worked up and so built himself up into a shoot that he was wound up on the sideline and couldn't play or couldn't focus well enough.
Yeah.
And now he's playing out of his mind, and that has to be just Sonny Dykes sitting him down and being like, we're good. You know what I mean?
Have you ever been on a really peaceful vacation where that nobody can bother you? And then you're just I wish I could put this feeling in a bottle. Yeah. I think that's what's going on.
As soon as I get back on that plane, it's going to.
Yeah. I think that's what Max Duggan's feeling right now. He just, it's fine. It's fine. Like, he'd make a bad play and they're down by 3 points and he would act like, well, that's it. The game's over. I messed it up again. And you're like, well, no, man, you got another drive. Like, if the defense stops them, there was just so much. And, also with TCU the last couple of years, the defense, which is what Gary Patterson is good at,
was not good.
So it's what Jimbo Fisher's going to have to face over the next couple of years at A&M. If that offense doesn't get better, they're like, yeah, you're recruiting well. You're doing all this, but the one thing that you're supposed to be the guru at is over. So you need to adjust what you're doing because, the great coaches, the great ones, the Sabans of the world are the ones who constantly adjust.
We talked about it last week too. I mean, Saban was all of a sudden, he was running a 20th century offense, and he was winning a little bit. I mean, they won the national championship in 2009? Was that the first one?
Yeah.
And they continued that offense for a couple more years, and it was successful. But then all of a sudden, he's getting left behind. They're losing a couple of games. Now all of a sudden, he brings in Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
He brings in Sarkisian, his school of rehabilitated toys or whatever, and it just rehabilitated coaches, and so he was able to adjust, and now they were world beaters for the better half of the 2010s. So Jimbo Fisher and company and people of his ilk have to look themselves in the mirror and decide if there are changes to be made. Like Aranda, who was like, hey, this play calling thing ain't working that well. Can we bring somebody else in? And he fired an offensive coordinator the first year.
Yeah, and admitted that this isn't working, this is not a fit. Go ahead and move on. Steve Sarkisian is a guy who's not holding on as tight to the leash as Tom Herman was.
Right.
Tom Herman's a good football coach when it comes to game plans and all that stuff. He was not the guy for Texas because he cannot put the filter on the outside noise. Steve Sarkisian's been through some stuff in his life, man.
Right.
There's probably nothing you can say to him that that's going to scare him worse than being at the rock bottom he was in his life. Like if
at USC.
Yeah, all that was really bad. So, he's got perspective is where Tom Herman didn't have it. And Tom Herman could maybe wind up at a place like Arizona State or Colorado and win, right? Yeah. Like he might be able to do that. I don't know, but because it's different than Texas.
I will be interested to see once this is all said and done, and if they continue to climb, what are just the wholesale changes? What is the philosophy that he brought to change the sort of culture that we're seeing them looking like they want to play every day for him?
Yeah. Absolutely. When we come back, we make our picks. This is the big one, too, brought to you by Shorty's Pizza Shack on 365 Sports.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back. The big 1-2, Paul Catalina, Roy Ogletree, Jacob Wilson. Jacob Wilson, if we were going to be on the challenge, you'd be my ride or die. We're doing a lot of work together. Just telling you right now.
The challenge, the TV show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you familiar with the challenge, Jacob?
Oh yeah. TJ Levin. That's his gig, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched that since I was in junior high, but
I'll tell you, it's way better than it was then.
Is that right?
Amazingly better.
Was this like season 28 of the challenge?
It's like, they're in there. Like, it's ridiculous.
More seasons than Law and Order.
Yeah, the fiance and I love it. It's great. They make him do. It's like Fear Factor meets Big Brother meets the challenge, like the challenge. It's all like the old school stuff. Yeah, it's great.
All right.
Yeah, they jump off of buildings and stuff. It's wild.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Roy, now we'll take you on the Amazing Race. I think you're more Amazing Race speed.
I'll go to Europe. That's fine. I'll do that.
We need a better backstory than doing a 1-hour podcast together.
I was your intern. We did the whole thing.
That's right. That's right. Both of you were. So.
Oh, that would be a weird backstory, though. This is my intern.
Yeah. Okay. When we last left these picks, I don't know what we did. We don't do the grades, but I can go back to last week and kind of tell you. Let's see. We both picked Texas. I picked Iowa State. We both picked Kansas. That was wrong. And we both picked Oklahoma State. So we were 2-2 last week in the Big 12, and I picked BYU, and you picked
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. So,
and I had a guy write a diatribe to me on the YouTube comments, which you're not supposed to read, but brother, let's not write a whole novel about. Look,
Notre Dame now has proven it to me that whatever was going on early in the season is over. Drew Pines played well, as the quarterback.
That tight end that they have, I couldn't.
Michael Meyer.
Yeah, he was incredible. Yeah. He was the biggest guy on the field. He was making some incredible catches for them. They made it a rock. I keep saying that they made it a rock fight at the very end. They were hitting each other, and Jaron Hall finally made some plays. I think that the problem was that they got behind the 8 ball a little bit. They just turned it over at the very first play.
Notre Dame just jumped out so quickly in that one. All right, so this week we will pick BYU again because they're playing Arkansas, and that's the best one of the
incoming
Big 12 games this week. Thursday night, Baylor at West Virginia. I've been on 2 West Virginia podcasts already today. I'll be on another one tomorrow.
How does that make you feel?
I'm big in the Mountaineer State. I'm happy about it. I can get other states to come along.
Okay.
But if I can start with one that likes me, generally, because apparently there's sections of California that think I'm an idiot. But which I'm not too sad about. But if I can get like West Virginia to like me and maybe South Dakota, especially Hawaii,
just have us show you a good time.
Just like, I can build slowly. I just want one Dakota, just one Dakota to like me.
Preferably North. They had the better football team.
Yeah, maybe North, but I'll take South if I can get it. Maybe I can be big in Montana. I'm not sure, but no, I've been on 2. I'll be on another one tomorrow, and my prediction is like in the 31-19 range for Baylor to win this game. I think that giving Dave Aranda and staff an extra time to like fix things, especially against a secondary in West Virginia that's not very good.
Right.
You'll see some plays in the passing game. You'll see some good things. It's going to be tough. They've never won in West Virginia. I think they break that now. I think this is a 2-score game, but not a 2-score game where Baylor's comfortable for a lot of it. Probably just the last 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Kind of like Iowa State.
Yeah, like
that's going to be how they're going to win games this year,
Yeah,
Baylor fans. I'm sorry to admit it to you. You'd like to see the blowout like you did against Texas State or whatever. But
West Virginia last year, they roughed them up.
I think that just the way that they're going to win games in this version of the Big 12, which has sort of changed its identity to being hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, a game that you're going to win in prime time at night in a loud stadium that doesn't like you. It's going to be messy. I just have a feeling it's going to be messy. JT Daniels is going to have to make plays like he always is going to have to. He may have to throw the ball
no CJ Donaldson, so that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah,
so.
I just have a feeling he may have to throw the ball like 50 times.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're going to be able to run against Baylor's front, but Yeah, I think that's a good prediction for how this game will go. That place has been a house of horrors for Baylor forever. Even when they had some of the best teams of all time. 2013 they went up there and laid an egg.
Yeah.
And those kids were 2014. Those kids were in middle school whenever this was going on, so it doesn't really matter. But it's weird how that continues no matter what year you're in college football.
Yeah.
I've always found that interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's some places it's just hard. In West Virginia, it's hard for everybody. Kansas at Oklahoma. I know this is in Norman at Memorial Stadium. We differ in this pick.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
Oh, I picked. I said Kansas. I'm sorry that I was going to roll with you until the wheels fell off. This is where I kind of differ here. And it's solely based on injuries. I don't know if Jalen Daniels is going to play. He looked like he got shaken up in that game against TCU. They hadn't come out. He's still on the depth chart. They hadn't come out and said anything about if he's actually going to be injured, and we probably won't know until Friday at the earliest how he's going to be. Dylan Gabriel was warming up for the Red River rivalry. That may have been all pomp and circumstance.
I think that was window dressing.
Yeah,
that was
decoy.
Yeah.
If Gabriel doesn't play, do you want to change your pick?
If Gabriel doesn't play, no, I'm gonna go with
All right,
Oklahoma.
doubling down.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Oklahoma. I think Jason Bean used up all of his touchdowns. I think he played the very best game that he could have ever played ever.
I don't. It was actually a pretty close quarterback battle between Bean and Daniels, and then Daniels just has a little bit of an it factor that Bean didn't have, and they went with Daniels, and it's clearly worked out. If he doesn't play, I still think Oklahoma's defense is in a bad way.
Yeah.
This Kansas offense showed that they can score no matter who it is, and if they get some other playmakers back, they might be able to kind of offset that. I have nothing but confidence after what I saw against TCU and Jason Bean last week. I believe he can do it against a really bad Oklahoma defense. I just think they're in a bad way, and I've got Kansas in this one.
Yeah, they were missing so many open tackles. The touchdown by Bijan Robinson, did you watch? Was comical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just got to the outside and then literally like jogged into the end zone. The linebackers are all out of whack for Oklahoma. That being said, I just think in Oklahoma, they desperately need a win. If Dylan Gabriel plays, I think this is not as close as maybe we would want it to be.
Well,
but I just think, I don't know. I don't see it quite happening. And then I'll happily be wrong about Kansas, like I've been all year, but I just don't see the path here.
yeah. Iowa State at Texas. This one's also an 11 o'clock game. The Big 12 this week will be done by 6 o'clock p.m. So you can watch all your other games in prime time. Iowa State will not let Texas score as many points as Oklahoma did, but I don't know where they're going to find the points to beat Texas at Austin. I got Texas in this one comfortably.
Yeah, and Iowa State's offense is all out of whack, has been for the past couple of weeks, so we'll see how good Texas's defense is too.
Yeah.
Actually, because look, they still have the ability to make plays. The problem for Iowa State this year is that they haven't been able to run the ball. Look, you don't have Breece Hall, obviously. Mm-hmm. So that's going to he's making people look silly in the NFL. I think if they can establish that they can start to get back to running the ball a little bit, that will help them down the road, and we'll see how good Texas's defense actually is. If they come in here and they shut out Iowa State, what does that tell you? I'm not quite sure. But it is a step in the right direction for a team.
That's two shutouts in a row that doesn't happen in college football. Yeah,
exactly.
Iowa State's in a bad way on offense, like you said. But, I just don't know where they get it. Now, the game of the week in the Big 12, Oklahoma State at TCU. I'm a believer in both these teams, so my pick in here no way reflects that I think poorly of another team. I just think Oklahoma State wins this one with experience over TCU, who's a bit of an upstart, and it'll be a great game. I'm leaning Oklahoma State and picking Oklahoma State just because they've been there. They've been in these situations. This TCU team has not, and all due respect to Kansas, that was not one of these. This is the team that was in the Big 12 championship game last year. They've got some skins on the wall. I think Oklahoma State wins this based on experience, but again, should be another instant classic.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Fort Worth is a big home field advantage. That may help TCU, but that still may help TCU a little bit in this one. I still have Oklahoma State coming away with it solely for that experience factor. Also, I mean, their offense is high powered, and we'll see if they'll have to keep up with Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
they'll have to, like, the tempo that Oklahoma State has been running is really giving people fits this year, and they when they really get going. It took them a minute to get going in the Texas Tech game, but when they really get going, all of a sudden there's like, oh, they reeled off 41 points. How did that happen?
Yeah.
So I just have a feeling that snowball effect could really happen to TCU if they let it. Now, will Max Duggan match Spencer Sanders?
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe he's playing out of his mind. So we'll see. I still have to go with Oklahoma State solely based on momentum. They have a lot to lose here as well too. So I think every game they're going to have to be playing with their hair on fire.
Yeah. All right. And our incoming team of the week, once again, continues to be BYU. One of the great suggestions we got, Levi Caraway, one of our guys here, said you should do some of the incoming games.
Yeah.
And everybody has a bye week that we're navigating right now. So, Joel, I promise you I'll do UCF eventually. Joel, Space Coast Night, always texts us about UCF. We will do UCF. They're a team on the rise right now. They're John Rice Plumlee playing really well. But this week, BYU and Arkansas is probably the two biggest brand name teams. Both teams that need a win. I'll take the Hogs in this one over BYU.
No way. Give me the Stormin' Mormons, man. Arkansas looks bad.
What happened?
They looked terrible against Mississippi State. Now, granted, their quarterback, Mississippi State, is legit.
Will Rogers,
yeah. I was going to say C.J. Rogers, but that was a former Baylor quarterback for 2 weeks. But, Rogers looks incredible for Mississippi State, so, like, that's tough.
I'm not at all surprised that Mississippi State is good. This is Will Rogers' third year with the Pirate, and –
you know what happens when they start throwing for like 5,000 yards?
I mean, it's just like he becomes like completely – he thinks like the Pirate. He thinks about stuff like candy corns and chasing raccoons.
How bad coffee is and marriage and everything else.
Yeah, all these things. And then all of a sudden you're throwing for 5,000 yards and winning games.
Yeah. But that defense had some problems. They had problems against Texas A&M, who historically cannot score the ball. So I think that BYU bounces back. This game is in Provo, too. Now, granted, it's not in the middle of the night like they always would want it to be. But at 2:30 Provo kickoff, yeah, give me BYU to bounce back against an Arkansas team that is trending down.
No, I give me KJ Jefferson to bounce back.
You think so?
KJ to bounce back, yeah. BYU's not trending upwards either. So, I do think they put a lot of eggs in the Baylor basket. And since
went all out.
Well, they did because Baylor physically, by their own admission, physically humiliated them last year. And they got Baylor, and then they went to play Oregon.
Yeah.
And got rolled. And then they've played Notre Dame and got rolled. So I think that this is maybe a team that in playing those teams maybe is a little overmatched. So.
I think that comeback versus Notre Dame, albeit how it fell short.
Think they're good. I have not lost any of my respect for them. I just think that, I think I see where they're going as compared to last year,
Yeah, it's not as good it definitely is not as good of a team as it is
when they essentially won the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So
funny how that works.
Yeah.
I just don't see it for Arkansas.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
I have faith.
You have faith in the Kendall Briles, Jeff Lebby offense?
I have faith in Sam Pittman.
Okay, that's fair.
I like both these head coaches a lot. Kalani Sitake is on our show all the time. I love Kalani Sitake. I really enjoy Sam Pittman. I think Arkansas should hold on to him for as long as they can. Because he's going to be there. He's an alum. He loves it. So, yeah, I do. I have faith. Look, and I've seen that offense work really well. I think there's a moment, of course, in that A&M game where they could have sealed it, and KJ Jefferson had the brain fart to end all brain farts.
Did he jump? He tried to jump from like the 5-yard line.
Yeah. Look, you're tall, dude, but you're not 15 feet tall. Like, you know.
That was the most outstanding thing I've ever seen in a college football. He was just like, no, I got it.
Yeah. So, anyway, you know, and look, BYU wins. You know, not going to surprise me. I think it'll be a pretty good game. I like both the quarterbacks, KJ Jefferson, Jaron Hall. I like them both. Like both the defenses, you know, play pretty well. Mississippi State's they're going to ruin somebody else's season. They already ruined A&M's, but
yeah,
they're going to ruin somebody else's. Maybe it's in the Egg Bowl. We don't know.
Do they play any like Alabama or Georgia?
Yeah, they play Alabama. Yeah, they're in the
that
SEC
could be
West.
it.
They're in the SEC West. So, yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Roy Ogletree, for Jacob Wilson, for Shorty's Pizza Shack, I'm Paul Catalina. Have a great week, everybody. We're back, same time, same space, next week right here. Please like and subscribe to our channel, 365 Sports. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, Dad.